All right, welcome back to the Island Contracting Nightly Sports Call. You're watching us live on Pittsburgh CW, also simulcasting live on 93.7 The Fan. Also, Larry Ogunjobi is still available. I know, wasn't he signed and then by the Bears something happened?
Yep.
He failed his physical. I mean, maybe he's a guy you take a chance on or bring him in to at least talk to. I think he visited the Jets too. There's another guy.
Well, I think he's a guy, Richie, that they would like because he's way younger than Ndamukong Suh. So you're getting a younger player. Getting a guy, I think they're generally loath to bring in veterans in this sort of situation. It hasn't worked out that well. Schobert worked out poorly in a trade. Ingram obviously was a disaster last year. He didn't want to be here. So I think they're a little gun shy. But I do think if they feel they know the player better because they saw Ogunjobi when he played for the Browns twice a year, they might have a different kind of feel about him. I think he would fit. He was getting, I think, 3 years, $40 million, and it was like 26.5 guaranteed from the Bears before he failed that, though. So I think the dollar value would be very, very interesting to try to work out with a guy like that. I will also point out, only because it's you, Richie, that tonight we are not simulcasting on 93.7 The Fan. Do you know why? Because everybody's got Bucco fever, Richie.
That's right.
Bucco fever.
Battling Buccos. Hey, by the way, so while we were watching the Pirates beating up on the Dodgers again tonight up in the sports department, Steve Banco, our fabulous producer of the show, we were playing 6 Degrees of Bob Pompiani. And we were trying to get to George Washington. We did it in 5 moves, I think. Bob Pompiani to Arnold Palmer. You can get to a lot of people from Arnold Palmer and Dan Rooney, so that was the easiest route to take, right? Dwight Eisenhower is friends with Arnold Palmer. You can get the General Patton from Dwight Eisenhower, and then from General Patton, you can get to George Washington.
Wait, Patton all the way back to George Washington?
Patton's I forget how
here.
Steve figured it out. Then you got to go to Patton's grandfather, somehow had connections with George Washington.
I think there's my favorite president. Now that you brought it up, I'm going to force you to deal with me here on this one. But my favorite bit of presidential trivia, and I believe that there is still at least one surviving person that makes this true. I want to say John Tyler, who was like president in the early 1800s.
Okay.
He has a living grandson still. So a guy who was president like over 200 years ago or close to, I think it was 200 years ago.
Well, he was a Ted president. I just looked it up. It's amazing. Okay.
So he had children in his late 70s, I believe. Those children then had children, I think, later in life as well. And so there's still like one John Tyler grandson or grandchild, I believe, still alive.
So,
okay, 2 years ago. Okay, fine. So 2 years ago, the last living grandson of John Tyler died. I was pretty close, Richie.
You were pretty close.
2020. They took 2020 even took the John Tyler grandson's trivia note away from us.
So basically, you can get anywhere with Bob Pompiani. 6 Degrees of Bob Pompiani. You can get to anywhere. We got to George Washington.
Yeah, I think you used more than 6 degrees, but I trust Benko. If he figured it out in 5, I trust him more than you. No offense.
All right, let's go out to Bert and Ross Traver. How you doing, Bert?
Guys, thanks. Yeah. This guy, Leal, he looks a lot more like Lamar Woodley to me than he does Stephon Tuitt. He's the same size as Woodley was coming out of college. Woodley was a defensive tackle. I think it's a big mistake to try to use him to replace Tuitt. They need to sign a big guy to keep getting pushed out of position. Bring somebody in who can stop that from happening. Let this guy rush the passer. That's what he's good at.
All right, thanks a lot. I mean, yeah, Leal doesn't have the size. They brought him as one of the guys, but I know they like Loudermilk. You also have, Chris Wormley played pretty well last year. Yeah,
Chris Wormley can't stop the run, though. Chris Wormley's more of a rush the passer guy. Loudermilk, to me, is the one that I think they hope this year does the most work picking up the slack because he's up between 305 and 310. I think he was like 290, 295 when they drafted him. You remember that one, Richie, too. They picked him last year, and they traded up to get him into the 5th round when other teams seemed to be very questionable on how much they even thought he could be a good pro, let alone a draftable one. And I think that he's put on the kind of weight and added the kind of bulk that they would like to pencil in for Stephon Tuitt. That having been said about what Bert brought up, though, with Leal, what's weird to me, and I know Tomlin did say, in fairness, he said, we like him at the size that he's at. I don't think Woodley was ever 280 until maybe the very end. I mean, Leal is 285. He's a pretty big guy. Woodley played more at maybe 260, 265, 270, whatever. But Leal also, if they do decide they want him to put on weight, definitely can. I mean, you just look at that frame. You can absolutely add 20 pounds to a guy like that and not necessarily change a whole lot with his athleticism or his quickness.
All right, let's go out to Bill in Pittsburgh. How you doing, Bill?
Hey, guys. As far as Stephon Tuitt, I mean, the guy was really good at one time, but he's missed so much time with injuries. I don't think we're going to really miss him, to be honest with you. I think he can easily be replaced. We can get a trade or get one of these older players that it's out there, but I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal.
Well, guys like him are hard to find. I mean, when he was good, he was one of the best in the NFL, Chris, and that's why they were so bad last year at stopping the run.